All right, let me see. We should be back in here. Back in the building. Y'all know what to do. It is that time on this Tuesday, this Taco Tuesday, by the way. And it's still in the morning, so we made it to the morning show. Welcome, y'all. Welcome to everyone that's in here. You know what to do. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can see me. And welcome back to another YouTube live stream and another episode of the ClassE Show. I'm your host, ClassE, at patreon.com/ClassEbeats. The link is in the description. We also dropped it in the chat for y'all as well. We've got a crazy show for you guys. We're going to talk about Maduro and what's going on with him pleading guilty. The main topic for today, we're also going to get into some legal experts, mainly Harvey from TMZ, talking about what's going on with the Stefan Diggs situation and is Cardi B possibly involved. And then y'all know Candace Owens is back. Can we give a round of applause to Candace Owens? She makes great content, so we got to cover it here. But before I get into it, we got to talk and say what's up to the people who are in the building, the ones who make this show the great place that it is. Shout out to my awesome, amazing Amy is up in here doing what she does, and that's be amazing. Thank you for being here, Amy. Taco Tuesday is here. It's your day. We got A Fitz in the building. Mr. Brown is in here. Virginia Wiley is back at it. We've got Alice in the building as well as Mr. Brown. So good to see y'all. Thank you guys for being in the building. You know what to do. You know what I'm going to ask. If you haven't yet, please make sure you like the video on your way in. It's free, helps the channel continue to grow. It lets the algorithm know that y'all are enjoying the show. It shares the video, the channel, and this live stream with more people. So if you haven't yet, please make sure y'all do that. Thank you again to nearly 600 of you that have liked the video so far. Amazing. Y'all are helping out so much. If you're feeling extra generous, you can share the video as well. All you have to do is click the button that says share. It's got an arrow that's curved pointing to the right and allows you to share the video to Facebook, Instagram, X, anywhere you're on social media. And you can share it to your group chat via text as well. Let people know where you're going to be hanging out for the next little while, because we got a great show for y'all. You know, we do not miss, and it's going to be an interesting one as well. I will be reading super chats as we go throughout the show. So thank you to everybody who sends in super chats and keeps the lights on here on our show. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get into it, and thank y'all for dropping the ones in the chat as well. Bombay is in the building too. Good to see you in here, Bombay. How's everybody doing on this Tuesday? Hopefully y'all are feeling well. I know a lot of crazy stuff going on in the news, and of course we're gonna get into it as well. Mr. Brown said, I'm going to listen to some Janet Jackson music while I wait for ClassE to show. Oh man, shout out to Janet Jackson. We've also got Bombay has been a member for 5 months. Dang, that's crazy. Thank you for being a member, Bombay. I appreciate you being here. That's crazy. 5 months, it goes by fast. And if you are a member, or if you're not a member and you haven't checked out the members only content, please make sure you do that. We got a ton of members only content for you. You also get your name highlighted in that beautiful green. Also, you get instant access to all the videos we drop here on the channel as soon as I post them. I know some of y'all will see that I have a video scheduled out even sometimes into the next day. If you're a member, you get to watch them right away. You don't even have to wait. So thank you, Bombay, for the love. Says, sorry I've been gone a while, but it's good to be back. Miss the ClassE fam. Thank you for being here. You're always in our hearts, Bombay. All right, so thank you for showing major love and support. We're gonna go ahead and get into our first topic, because y'all know we have got a lot to cover today as usual. And we got a little bit of an extended show. I know some of y'all, Alice was over there asking about the show being extended some. We've got an extended show for you today, so make sure you stay tuned. Jay Buckmaster's in here too. Good morning, Jay. Good to see you. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. So Harvey has an amazing podcast that he does. It's not with TMZ. It's somewhat outside of TMZ. Either way, he's got the Two Angry Men podcast. He does, and he does an amazing job covering a lot of the topics we've been talking about when it comes to pop culture. Specifically, we're going to hear about today his take on what's been going on with Stefan Diggs. Is Cardi B possibly involved, and how this entire assault charge situation played out? I'll give my thoughts on this as well. Many of you may have heard it from the past videos we did. Let's see what Harvey has to say about this.
I'm going to be guessing too, but my guess is yes. We're on the same page. But I want to get into what the Patriots did, because to me, this is the most interesting thing. On December 23rd, she calls the police back and says, I want to file charges. So they're filing charges against him for strangulation and, and assault.
Right. I saw that What do you think happened between December 16th, when she said, I'm going to make the complaint, but I don't want to press charges, and December 23rd?
She had already had a lawyer go to Stefan, I believe, and said,
exactly,
I
and
want
said,
money.
I'm not, right, what money?
And
By the way, I'm a personal chef, and you know what I do? I go into my employer's room and I demand to get payment, and he slaps me and strangles me.
okay, but
By the way, does that pass any smell test that you've whatsoever?
Nope.
It doesn't flunk it for me.
It doesn't?
No, it doesn't. I mean,
and she waited. She gets slapped. Most women I know, if they get slapped, they're not waiting around to make a complaint.
Here's what I think happened. I think right after December 2nd, she had made some sort of a money demand. I have the police report, and when she went in.
Well, that's cheating. You've got a police report, and you didn't even send it to me.
I know.
Too much. Let me guess.
Okay.
After December 2nd, how soon after December 2nd was a civil lawyer involved?
I don't know. There's no evidence of a civil lawyer. I will tell you that she says that when she went there on the 16th, she told the police that they were trying to settle up with her, but they wanted a non-disclosure. She wouldn't sign it. And so they were clearly going back and forth on money.
And can you read exactly what she told the police?
Yeah, and this is the crazy thing too. This incident didn't happen and she went straight to the police. This incident happened and then several months passed by. She's like, okay, I'm not getting the money I want. Then now we're going to have to go this route. And basically what happened is they tried to come to an agreement, and it seems like they came to agreement on the money side, but then the chef did not want to sign the NDA. You can't have your cake and eat it too. And in her defense, Stefan Diggs should have had this taken care of a long time ago. So it's mainly on him.
Police about that.
She says after the alleged assault on 12/2, this is what she's telling the cops on the 16th. She says Adams, this is the woman, Adams left her position and left the residence to stay with a friend. She says that on 12, I believe it's 8 here, she returned to the house to get her property. At that point, she texted with Diggs, who told her to take up the monetary sum with his assistant. She spoke to Melissa from finance, who explained that Diggs had requested a signed non-disclosure agreement from Adams before she could get paid. Adams did not sign any such document. So there's some reason that Stefan Diggs wanted an NDA. So I know you're saying, oh, this sounds like BS, but there's some reason Diggs wanted an NDA, right?
But by the way, can I tell you?
I mean, it could be because maybe they had something else going on. This is Stefan Diggs we're talking about. It's possible, and maybe we'll hear that later.
I know where you're headed. You're headed, if I had to guess, that the Patriots have not suspended him.
Well, I want to get specific about this. So let me just tell you what happens. So it's pretty clear to me they're negotiating, can't reach an agreement. On the 23rd, she calls the police and she says, I want to charge him. So they go after him. So here's what the Patriots say. This is their statement. The New England Patriots are aware of the accusations that have been made regarding Stefan Diggs. Stefan has informed the organization that he categorically denies the allegations. We support Stefan. We will continue to gather information and will cooperate fully with the appropriate authorities in the NFL as necessary.
This is a great point by Harvey, because we've seen in the past, talk about Ray Rice, we could talk about Deshaun Watson, several cases where the NFL has done an investigation pretty quickly. These teams have done investigations pretty quickly. And normally you'll hear something like, oh, the NFL is going to do their own investigation. The police are going to do their own investigation. And, hopefully there's nothing there. Hopefully everything's okay. And we'll be here and we're going to focus on football. The Patriots specifically are saying this is BS. We're standing behind Stefan. They didn't say the same thing about Christian Barmore, which causes me to believe, and I think Harvey's going to point this out as well, that Stefan was able to show them something that would allow them to believe that this is just a money grab and he's going to have to go through the process. I can't imagine that he would be lacking in the security field when it comes to having his home and having other people in his home. But we've seen crazier things happen.
Do you find it interesting that they're saying we support Stefan and then say, but we're going to help investigate?
No.
And
Can I tell
by
you
the way,
why?
but let me just say real quick, I am in no way saying that I believe her or I have no idea what happened. But what about the way the Patriots are jumping and saying, we support Stefan, but we'll continue to investigate and give stuff to the NFL?
Because let me tell you what happens. I have defended these with players of the ilk or caliber of Stefan.
Who is an A-star, A++ player.
Exactly right. I think, what has he got? A $69 million
He's
contract for 3 years or
huge
something.
for the
Huge
Patriots,
contract.
and they're going into the playoffs.
Plus, he dates my favorite person in the world, Cardi B, who I like to invoke her legal acumen all the time. But
come
first
on,
of all,
really?
I have been there, done this on at least 5 occasions. When the NFL has got a robust investigative process. They've got a former prosecutor, actually 2 former sex crimes prosecutors who work for them internally, who will do a internal investigation on specifically these kinds of allegations. My guess is, and I've also been adverse to the Patriots in a couple of cases, including having what's his name the owner sit across the table from me while I do his depo. He is Robert Kraft, and it comes from the top down. He's
a player's owner.
In my experience, at least, I don't have any inside information here, but I'm going to guess he's talked to Stefan Diggs. He's not buying what she's selling.
Do you think? Do you think he talked? Do you think they talked to her?
Yes,
they talked to her.
I don't know that he talked to her.
Isn't that relevant?
I think if there are texts between either Stefan, his finance people, and the accuser.
And there are, let me tell you something. The texts do not help Stefan. He is nasty to her.
Well, maybe because he's pissed and he's being accused of something he didn't do.
Before.
What does he say before?
He's probably annoyed because this chick is wasting his time. Why are you coming to me about this? Go to Melissa.
They're just. I'm not even going to read it because it's.
Y'all think they were in a relationship?
How can you say they're nasty and not read them?
Okay. She said, "You will paying me out for the season. You said you would give me money for my business. Wasted my time. I'm out of your life." He says, "I won't be paying you shit. Fuck, I look like paying you and paying another," and I can't read this next word.
And you think these are horrible for him? It just sounds like somebody who's pissed off.
I don't think they're good, but he's making it clear there is a dispute over money. Now,
correct. No, it's a money grab.
No, I get it. I get it. But Mark, look, I don't know who's telling the truth, but they're
neither do I. But I will tell you
why are they saying? Why are they jumping to the? I think there's an answer, Mark. Why are they saying we support Stefan Diggs and then say we're going to continue to investigate?
Because I will tell you, and I've been in this identical situation. If they do just a preliminary investigation and they see what is happening here, and it looks like it's a money grab, and they were using the investigation or the threat of criminal action in order to leverage a civil settlement of some kind, then they are in tune enough to know, believe it or not, that there are people out there who engage in this kind of activity.
Well, that's a scenario, but that's not the only scenario.
Correct. I agree. But if they believe him, and but God forbid they give him a presumption of innocence.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So can we go with the innocent until proven guilty, please? Especially with something like this. Now, there isn't I guess we could call it a lawsuit. We're mainly focusing on the charges here, and that's what's going to happen. I'm sure there will come a time where there will be a lawsuit. We're focusing on the charges here and the criminal charges against Stefan Diggs, but we're going to see a lawsuit at some point. This personal chef wants to get her money one way or another. We're going to have to see how that plays out. I will leave a link to this full episode for y'all in the description. Let me know what you think in the comments and in the chat. And thank you again to all of y'all that are in here. We got 6,000 plus of y'all in the building. What do y'all think about this entire situation? The NFL has their own disciplinary process, so why would they do their own investigation? Granted, if this were maybe someone other than Stefan Diggs, they might not get this much grace, but it's good to see, at least at this point. We're waiting to see how this plays out. Innocent until proven guilty. And if Stefan has something that he can show the league, that he can show his team, then Just let it be. Let it be. Shout out, Mary's in here too. What's up, Mary? Good to see y'all. Thank you to everybody that's liked the video too. We're nearly at 100% likes. Excuse me. I'm getting the hiccups. Amazing. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Likes are so important, which is why I continue to beg for them. So thank y'all for the love. Let me see. Did I get... I need to update this so we can get into our next topic. And this one is something that we've been talking about for a while, especially over the weekend and the last couple days. So let me go ahead and get this ready. Also, shout out to Mr. Brown with the 50 bomb. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Let me put this up on the screen. Look at this man showing some love. Thank you for the 50 bomb. He said, shout out to the CEB family. Thank you so much, Mr. Brown. Always in here, always showing support, always showing out. And we're glad that you are with us in 2026. I know he went through some rough health situations here in 2025. So glad you made it through. Glad you're recovering and that you're still over on this side, Mr. Brown. Thank you for the love and support. I got to give you another round of applause. Wow. Dropping the 50 bomb for the CEB family. Dang. He said surprise. Yeah, we're praying hard and continuing to pray hard for Mr. Brown too. Thank you. Yeah, happy to have Mr. Brown healthy and with us. And he was here. This man is so supportive. He was here right up until he's about to go into surgery, watching the show and in the chat. Isn't that crazy? That's love, man. Thank you, Mr. Brown. I appreciate it. Good to have you here as well. We're going to get into our next topic. So we've got to talk about Nicolas Maduro has been found and he's arrested. He's in the U.S. We've got him here and he pled not guilty to these charges in this indictment that was handed down from the Attorney General. Now, we went and we reviewed the indictment. If y'all missed that, make sure you go back and watch that video. But check this out. We're going to listen to NBC News and talk about now that he's pled not guilty, what's going to happen moving forward. Check this out.
We do begin tonight with ousted Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife, Venezuela's First Lady Celia Flores, both arraigned in federal court here in New York City today. The couple determined to deliver their message as they face the judge 48 hours after their capture by American forces and their extraction to the U.S. Maduro and his wife under heavy guard today, driven from a detention center in Brooklyn to a waiting helicopter flown over the East River to Lower Manhattan and then loaded into an armored vehicle taken to federal court. The couple standing before the judge pleading not guilty to charges of narco-terrorism conspiracy along with cocaine and weapons charges. Maduro referring to himself as the president of Venezuela.
They got his wife,
his wife calling herself the First Lady of the Republic of Venezuela. In fact, Celia Flores' defense attorney saying she was injured in the raid. And as Nicolas Maduro was being taken from court, he called himself a prisoner of war. His defense attorney questioning the legality of his, quote, military abduction. Our chief investigative correspondent, Aaron Katursky, was in the courtroom, and Aaron leads us off tonight.
A little more than 48 hours ago, Nicolas Maduro ruled a nation with 30 million people and the world's largest oil reserves. Tonight, the deposed Venezuelan dictator is a shackled criminal defendant, whisked from jail in Brooklyn, flown across the East River by helicopter into Lower Manhattan with his wife and co-defendant Celia Flores to face federal drug charges. Escorted under heavy...
And if y'all are wondering about Maduro's wife, by the way, I've got some interesting notes that I took about her. And I want to read to y'all because a lot of people don't realize not only who Maduro's wife is, but what she was involved in. Check this out. So before marrying Maduro in 2013, Flores was already a major political figure in Venezuela. She was an attorney, for those of y'all that don't know, and she defended Hugo Chavez. And she helped get him released in 1992 with that whole situation that was going on there. She also became the first woman. Became the first woman to serve as president of the National Assembly from 2006 to 2011. And that's where the whole situation with them started. And she also served as Venezuela's attorney general and held influential roles within Maduro's United Socialist Party. So I've got more information and more notes here. So if y'all are wondering what she did, she was heavily involved in what was going on with this situation with Maduro being in office, staying the president, becoming this dictator that wasn't supposed to be there. So she's implicated as well, and she was mentioned in the indictment. Yeah.
Guard to an armored vehicle for the short ride to federal court, where canine dogs roamed the hall and U.S. Marshals inspected the courtroom chair where Maduro would sit. Nicolas Maduro's presence inside Manhattan federal court brought protesters here outside, some denouncing the U.S. military action that captured him, others supporting what President Trump ordered. Inside, Maduro greeted spectators in the courtroom, saying Buenos dias. He put on headphones for Spanish translation and rose in his seat as the judge asked, "Are you Nicolas Maduro?" "I am the president of the Republic of Venezuela," a defiant Maduro responded.
"No, you
I
ain't.
am here kidnapped. I was captured at my home in Caracas, Venezuela."
Okay, so anytime somebody gets arrested, we're going to call it kidnapping. I don't care where you at. If you did something here and there's an indictment, then sorry. You're arrested, brother.
Judge cut him off. Maduro's wife declared, "I am the first lady of the Republic of Venezuela," before the judge interrupted her. "The purpose today is just to ask who you are." Prosecutors say Maduro and his wife worked together to traffic cocaine.
What the government is alleging is they literally were handing out passports to drug dealers. They were engaging in murder and kidnapping, using the diplomacy, using the veil of the Venezuelan government to pursue this drug conspiracy.
Asked how he pleaded to the charges, Maduro said, "I am innocent. I am not guilty. I am a decent man. I am still president of my country." Flores then stated her plea, not guilty, completely innocent. Maduro.
This guy, man, they're delusional. The people of Venezuela didn't even want them. They voted, and they voted against you. They voted to get you out of here. Why is this man still claiming that he's the president? This is just making his case look worse, to be honest.
His wife appeared with a bruised and bandaged head. Her lawyer said she may have a fracture or severe bruising on her ribs. Maduro's attorney called the U.S. raid a military abduction and said Maduro is the head of a sovereign state, immune from prosecution. As Maduro was led from the courtroom, someone in the gallery stood and shouted in Spanish, "You will pay in the name of Venezuela." Maduro stopped and turned to face the heckler, saying, "I am the elected president. I am a prisoner of war. I will be free."
So let's get right to
This guy's delusional. You're not the elected president. You got voted out, my friend. You're not supposed to be there.
Aaron Katursky, who was in the courtroom today. Aaron, as all of this was playing out in that New York City courtroom, Nicolas Maduro's son, also, of course, indicted here, was addressing the National Assembly back in Venezuela, saying, "Dad, you created a strong family, that the nation is in good hands while we await your return." But, Aaron, it would appear that is unlikely to happen anytime soon, if at all.
If at all, David, it could be a long time before Maduro even stands trial here. His lawyer said today, David, this is going to be a complicated case, and Maduro is going nowhere. He didn't even ask for bail today and returned to jail where he is tonight. It could be March before we see him again. That's when he's next due here in court. David?
Crazy thing is, I believe Maduro's in the MDC, if I heard right. So he was out there where Diddy was, several other people. I mean, man, they show no favors there. They got this man up in MDC. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there. I also wanted to play this segment from Marco Rubio addressing what's been going on with this entire situation with Maduro. I am still shocked, and we're going to get into it in the next segment, in the next video, at how many people have an issue with what the president of the United States did. The people of Venezuela are thankful. And because America benefits from what's happening here, it seems like that's being made out to be a bad thing. I think either way, regardless, just with the hate for this administration, specifically the hate for the president, that people would find an issue with it. If we went there and it was paid for by Venezuela and they begged us to come here, people would have an issue with that. If we went there for free and then came back, left the country, people would complain. They say, why are we spending all these resources going over there? If we left it alone, people would complain and say, why aren't we helping Venezuela? I mean, I don't know what people want. So let's hear what Marco Rubio had to say about this entire situation.
I'm confused. Are they still wanted by the United States? Why didn't you arrest them if you are taking out the narco-terrorist regime?
You're confused? I don't know why that's confusing to you.
They're still in power.
It's very simple. You're not going to go in and wrap up. But yeah, but you can't go, you're going to go in and suck up 5 people. They're already complaining about this one operation. Imagine the howls we would have from everybody else if we actually had to go and stay there 4 days to capture 4 other people. We got the top priority. The number 1 person on the list was the guy who claimed to be the president of the country that he was not. And he was arrested along with his wife, who was also indicted. And that was a pretty sophisticated and frankly complicated operation.
It was.
It is not easy to land helicopters in the middle of the largest military base in the country. The guy lived on a military base. Land within 3 minutes, kick down his door, grab him, put him in handcuffs, read him his rights, put him in a helicopter, and leave the country without losing any American or any American assets. That's not an easy mission. And you're asking me, why didn't we do that in 5 other places at the same time? I mean, that's absurd. I do think this is one of the most, daring, complicated, sophisticated missions this country has carried out in a very long time. Tremendous credit to the U.S. military personnel who did it. It was unbelievable, and tremendous success. And today, an indicted drug trafficker who was not the legitimate president of Venezuela, who we don't recognize, the Biden administration didn't recognize, 60-something countries don't recognize.
Even the people of Venezuela said, get this man up out of here.
The European Union doesn't recognize, and many countries in Latin America don't recognize. He was a indicted drug trafficker. He was arrested. His wife was arrested,
but the others who are also indicted are still
system of courts.
The others who are also indicted are still in place. So that's the point of my questioning there. But you talked about not being the legitimate
president. So you wanted
president.
us to land in 5 other military bases?
No, I'm asking why you chose that this was the limit of the military operation. But
question.
To your point that you just made, that that Maduro was not the legitimate president.
He was the guy who was claiming to be the president.
Right. Well, the opposition.
He was the top target.
Okay.
He's the top target. Just let it go, man. Why are people choosing to be mad about this? I'm still so confused. Maybe you guys can give me some more information in the comments and in the chat and let me know why there's so much outrage about this happening. I don't know what people want at this point. I think it's just all hatred for the right or for Donald Trump or for this entire administration. People in Venezuela are happy. People who are Venezuelan in America are happy. A lot of Americans who support, obviously, this administration, who support our military, are proud of the job that they did here. Y'all have to let me know what you think in the comments in the chat. We're gonna get into it here shortly as well. There's so many people who are just needlessly angry and upset about what's going on with this Venezuela situation. There were no casualties, no American casualties. We got the man that was indicted. What's the issue? Judge said, I don't need to know all that. He said, yes, I'm the president of Venezuela. Bro, no, you're not. Those people voted you out, and we're going to hear about that here shortly as well. Well, China paired up with Venezuela. I'm wondering why? Because of the oil. It's all about. I'm not going to get into that. This isn't the show for that, but obviously there was an incentive for them to do that, which is, I think it's hilarious that people think that any president or someone in politics is just going to do something for just the greater good of America. There's always there's checks and balances in government. There's pluses and minuses of everything. President tried to make a deal with Maduro and say, hey, listen, we'll try and figure this out. We want to get these drugs out of here, and I'm trying to get your oil. How do you want to do it? Maduro's like, no. Okay, fine. Well, we're going to come arrest you. We're going to take your oil anyway. Marco Rubio is about to be the president of Venezuela, and we're going to keep it moving. Yeah, I mean, what's the problem? If we want to, oh my gosh. If we want to go down that route, we talk about a lot of the things that were done during the Biden administration. You know, their big push for going lighter on immigration and allowing so many people in and giving them all these rights. What do you think the incentive behind that was? It was because they would have and be able to have more voters. That was one incentive. To win favor with these other countries, to be able to do X, Y, and Z. I mean, guys, they're just not doing this stuff because they're out of the kindness of their own heart. That's how we got in this situation in the first place. Shout out to my guy, Dennis Byron, in here. He said the incentive was oil. It's always something. You think these sanctuary cities are just out of the kindness of your heart? Chicago's like, hey guys, y'all can come over here. We just love all of our immigrants. Man, stop it. No, they want more money. Close the borders near Canada and Nova Scotia. Close all the borders. No, I'm playing. We don't have to close all the borders. We're not going to talk about immigration today, but I think y'all get my point. You all are very, very, very smart. You understand what we're trying to say. There's pluses and minuses and incentives to everything that is done, especially by this country. And I can't think of a situation where something was just done out of the kindness of someone's heart. They get into politics because they want to make ish happen. Not that difficult. It was smooth how they did it too. I'm not upset. I'm okay with it. The people are happy. I mean, they're putting in work. Shout out to the United States, America. Amy in here. Look at Amy showing love with a cake. I gotta put these comments back up here too. Shout out to Amy with the super chat, dropping the sticker, the super sticker, showing some love with the cake, reminding me she has the cakiest cake that ever cake, and it's almost lunchtime. Thank you, Amy, for the love. I appreciate you. Thank you for the support. They didn't care what he was doing, but they locked his butt up. Yeah. What do we want? What? I don't know, man. I don't understand what and I was going back and forth with Dennis about this over on X. It's all just the game. Everybody's playing this game of power. They're playing this game of narratives. They're playing this game of, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't find it in my mind right now. Agendas. What agenda are we going with? So if you go with Joe Biden, former President Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, what was their agenda? You go with President Donald Trump. What's his agenda? That's all it is. And I mean, I think the sooner we accept this, the sooner people will understand what's going on. Thank you again to everybody who's in here. Thank y'all all for liking the video as well. Nearly 100% likes. Y'all are absolutely amazing. And we're not done, because speaking of Venezuela, let me see. Oh, Amy dropped something in the chat too. Let me see what Amy has to say here. Hold on, I gotta pull up my comments. Amy says, yeah, and look how far this goes back. Oh, she posted a whole story about this. Amy says the 36-year-old blueprint no one is talking about. By the way, and we're going to get into this in another segment, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, many, many others have been calling for this to happen, by the way. Barack Obama have been calling for what happened in Venezuela to happen. Like, we need to help Venezuela. What's going on in Venezuela is wrong. What Maduro is doing in Venezuela is corrupt. And it's been going on for decades at this point. So I don't understand. Again, people they just have a hatred, I think, for the current president of the United States. And yeah, it's sad. I'm going to read this as well. We'll get into that here shortly, but let's go ahead and get into our next topic, because we've got to talk about the now official, unofficial president of Venezuela. Since we've been covering this, there's been a lot of things that have been taking place in Venezuela, including the court moving and naming their official president. So let me go ahead and find, here it is, the VP. I guess the VP. I don't know what to call her. The unofficial official president. Anything Trump does, they are mad. Yeah, and it's the same way when Joe Biden was in office, to be honest. I like to be objective here, as objective as I can. There were some things that Joe Biden did that I agreed with and I thought worked well. Other things, not so much. Again, you got to take... We won't get into all of that. So now that everything has somewhat calmed down in Venezuela, we are going to talk about who the new president of Venezuela is. We've already heard from Marco Rubio. We've heard from the Secretary of War. We've heard from the president of the United States about the United States involvement in what's going on in Venezuela. It seems like they're going to be heavily, heavily involved in the restructuring of Venezuela, Venezuelan government, and specifically what's happening with the oil there. But now Delcy Rodriguez was recently appointed by the court there in Venezuela as the official president. Let's hear and talk about this from CNN. Check it out.
Venezuela's Supreme Court has ordered Vice President Delcy Rodriguez to assume the powers and duties of the acting president. The order was announced just last night after the court determined that Maduro can no longer exercise his functions as president. Rodriguez has demanded Maduro's release. As CNN's Paula Newt reports, she struck a defiant tone on her first day leading the country.
Just hours after the dramatic extraction of her president by U.S. forces, Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodriguez was the picture of defiance. Surrounded by regime loyalists, she called the U.S. operation barbaric, declaring Nicolas Maduro is the only president of Venezuela.
No, he's not.
Known to many in the country simply as Delcy, Rodriguez has been an influential and reliable regime enforcer for nearly 2 decades. She began in the government of Hugo Chavez, faithfully implementing the tenets of Chavismo, the nationalist populist movement that brought the Venezuelan economy to its knees. When Chavez died in 2013, she remained an assertive voice within President Maduro's government. Uncompromising in her rhetoric, she vilified the Venezuelan opposition and frequently warned the country about the threat of foreign intervention. Crucially, as energy minister, she also has been a steady hand in funneling Venezuela's dwindling energy revenues to the regime. Seen here last month with state workers, she says, "We have something to tell Mr. Trump. Venezuela doesn't owe the U.S. anything." And yet, Rodriguez has for many years been sanctioned by Canada, the EU, and the United States. CNN attempted to question her in 2016 after a CNN investigation uncovered a scheme to illegally sell Venezuelan passports out of the country's embassy in Iraq.
I remember hearing about that.
The foreign minister refused to comment to CNN on every occasion. In keeping with her political pedigree, Rodriguez has a less than subtle message for the Trump administration as she demanded Maduro's release. Her involvement in any future transition in Venezuela will be challenging.
What are they going to do? They don't care. China's going to listen. China, with all due respect to Delcy, China and Russia are not calling you. They're not talking to Venezuela right now. They're talking to Donald Trump. Like, hey, man, now that you got our guy Maduro, what are we doing with this oil situation? What are we going to do with the energy? Can we figure this out? We heard the president of the United States already say he's not happy with Russia and what's going on with the war in Ukraine. People are still dying. They're still not able to come to a conclusion there. China, no problem. They'll figure that out. Nobody's worrying about Delcy. You're going to do exactly what they say, or you're going to be on your own. So we'll be able to hear more information about that. But hey, shout out to Delcy for flexing over there.
Paul Newton, CNN.
Joining me now from Oxfordshire's Vanessa Neumann, a Venezuelan-American diplomat, business author and political theorist. Vanessa, great to see you again. It's been a while since you and I have spoken. I know it's been a moment of celebration for many Venezuelans in and outside of the country, and also moments
look at CNN
of
being
deep anxiety
unbiased
from the Venezuelans I've been speaking to inside the country. Just give us a sense of what you're feeling first and what the mood is from what you gather inside the country.
Indeed, and it's such a pleasure to be with you again. I've missed you.
Shout out to Vanessa.
So, the mood in Venezuela is one of concern right now, and confusion more than anything. So there are several things. One, everybody is delighted by most people are delighted by the photograph of Maduro, handcuffed and with the blindfolds and the earmuffs on the Iwo Jima, heading back to the United States. It reminded me of the capture of Abimael Guzman, who later The Shining Path was put in a cage. It made him human. It took away the terror and all this fear that Venezuelans have had with these 18,000 political prisoners and extrajudicial killings and tortures. He seemed like a superhuman who could never be captured. And now we know he is human.
A dictator.
He can be captured. People within the Maduro enclave can be captured, and we can one day have democracy again. So that's hope. That's one sentiment. On the other sentiment, there is great concern about the fact that Delcy Rodriguez, who is not a nice woman, but is very, very intelligent. She's multilingual, fluent in English and French, and the chief negotiator, I have seen it firsthand. I haven't been fed this by the U.S. government or the Venezuelan opposition. I have been present during phone calls where people were negotiating with her to give Maduro money or to keep Maduro in power. So I am aware of that. And she will give a little dance to the Trump team who think that she will be their puppet, but she's nobody's puppet. However, that's one thing. I think they will get tired of being danced around by her, Rubio and Hegseth. And on the other hand, she faces a huge challenge because she's not in the military, by Diosdado Cabello and Padrino Lopez, who's the two military, one's the head of the military and the other one is a military commander who's head of the party. They're very, very bad guys. And they will want to command whatever's left of military morale. They will want to command whatever's left of military morale to sideline her. So she may well be stabbed in the back by her own party.
So many good points that you make.
We're nowhere. Then we just have Diosdado Cabello and Padrino Lopez, who were really not much better than Maduro.
Yeah, look, so many good points you made. Let me start, first of all, we'll talk about Diosdado, the Interior and Defense Minister, in just a moment. But let me get your thoughts, first off, on Delcy Rodriguez. She's now the president, well, VP, obviously, but she's been, you've seen the Supreme Court, she's now been handed over the reins, of course, of the country. We've had President Trump saying that she will do what we ask of her, almost painting a picture, Vanessa, that of her being slightly more pragmatic. What is your sense? Because what I heard from you yesterday is, you know, we will never be a colony. We want Maduro back. Is this just lip service, or do you think that Chavismo is not dead?
I think Chavismo is not dead. I think there are two different things, right? So there are Chavismo, there are a few hardcore ideologues who've always been there, always will be there, right? Who really believe in Chavismo. And don't forget, this is a country like Cuba. I know you know this extremely well, where there's a whole lot of propaganda. People within Venezuela.
And they're saying Cuba is next. Seeing a lot of information. We'll get into that on another show. A lot of information about Cuba being next up. Presidents mentioned it and talked about it in the press conference when they captured Maduro over the weekend. So be on the lookout for that, man. All these narco terrorists, as they're calling them, they need to watch out.
Unless you have a smartphone, really don't have a lot of access to reality. They get fed these lines. Second of all, I think they have to keep up this line for their own survival. On the other hand, there is the aspect of their own survival, right? They are all facing drug charges. Delcy Rodriguez has done, I think was it the New York Times? Has done a PR job. Yeah, where she said, Delcy the moderate. And everybody in Venezuela was like, Delcy's not a moderate. She has been, remember what I said at the beginning, she's a negotiator and a PR person, and she's been handling her own PR clearly for her to assume this position for months and positions herself as a moderate. She can't be too much of a moderate. It's the typical thing we've seen, you and I have seen in transitions in other countries. If she tries to be a moderate and go on bended knee to the Trump team, her own team will stab her in the back. And then we'll have to have a second wave of attacks on Venezuela, or the Trump team will stage a second wave, as they discussed last night. She's not going to go on bended knee. Venezuela, they will not make Venezuela a colony, and I think that this is going to be some very complicated days. Venezuelans.
Listen, Delcy needs to chill out. She's going to do what she told. Let's be honest. Russia makes a phone call. China makes a phone call. They have a meeting, and they say, "Hey, Delcy, here's what's happening moving forward. You're just a placeholder. Enjoy it while you can. America, China, Russia, we're going to figure this thing out." And that's what's going to happen here. It'll be interesting to see how Delcy plays this. I don't think there'll be too much pushback because she's going to have her hands full with this entire situation. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments and in the chat. What do y'all think so far, man? What do y'all think is going to happen over there in Venezuela? It's an absolute mess. And according to the president, according to the Secretary of State, we're not going anywhere anytime soon. I find that both CNN and Fox are biased. Yeah, absolutely. Except in this segment, it seems to be a very, very, very small segment of people that actually disagree with what happened with the arrest of Maduro and his wife, with America going into Venezuela as well. There's people trying to say, oh, you needed congressional approval. No, you didn't. We could talk about Osama bin Laden. Went over there, took out Osama bin Laden without congressional approval. We can talk about many other situations. Again, can we just keep it? Can we understand the game? Really? Can we have the same standard for everyone? Or it just changes depending on the party? I don't know why she's so convinced China and Russia are going to help her. They have their own countries to worry about. They're not helping. They're trying to leave America alone. And if America wants to take over Venezuela, just, hey, make sure, just cut us a deal on the oil, okay? We'll buy it from you, fine. But just, can you make us a little bit of a deal? That's all they're worried about. Not worried about Delcy, man. With all due respect. Now, this next segment is going to be an interesting one because I'm sure, as you all have seen, there has been differing views when it comes to this situation in Venezuela and people talking about how they feel about America's involvement there. So we've got a couple of interesting posts, from people in Venezuela. We're going to hear from the vice president again, and then we'll actually hear from the former president, Joe Biden, on this exact situation. Yes, you guys, it's getting wild out here. So let's go ahead and get into it. So now that we've heard everything that's going on in the situation with Venezuela, we've got the vice president is now the acting president. America is still planning on being heavily involved after Maduro was arrested. Let's actually hear from the people of Venezuela and see what they have to say about this in America and in Venezuela themselves. We've already played a couple of videos, but I wanted to read this post I thought that was interesting over on X by Steven Subero. He says, sentiments of Venezuelans. I'm going to say this once, and I don't care if it makes people uncomfortable. If you have ever lived in Venezuela, if you did not grow up there, if you did not watch your country collapse in real time, if you did not stand in food lines, if you did not watch your parents lose everything they built, if you did not have to leave your home with nothing, then shut the F up. He said this, not me. You don't have an opinion. Your opinion does not matter. And you do not get to lecture anyone about what's happening there. I'm Venezuelan. I lived there for most of my life until my early 20s. I watched my country go from a functioning democracy to a full-blown socialism right in front of my eyes. This is not politics to me. This is trauma. Before socialism, Venezuela was not perfect, but it worked. There was trade, there was money coming in, there was investment from the US, there were jobs, there was food, there was medicine. My family had 5 businesses. We had our home, we had investments, we had a future. Then the government started nationalizing everything. Private companies were taken, foreign investors were pushed out, imports were blocked, price controls destroyed, production, corruption exploded, and everything died. Not slowly, violently. People didn't suddenly become poor because of capitalism or the US or whatever BS slogan people like to repeat online. They became poor because socialism destroyed incentives, destroyed production, destroyed trust, and destroyed hope. People today in Venezuela are not debating ideology. They are trying to survive. They are trying to find food. They're trying to find medication. They're trying to keep their families alive. So when I see people in the West posting from comfortable homes full of fridges, stable currencies, and safe streets talking about imperialism or US bad or Trump this or that, he said, no, it's not complicated. You're just ignorant. Dang. China is not rebuilding Venezuela. Russia is not rebuilding Venezuela. Cartels are not rebuilding Venezuela. They are stealing, they are extracting, they are draining what's left. If the US comes in and reinvest in refineries, get rebuilt, if infrastructures get restored, if imports open back up, if food, water, and medicine becomes accessible again, if people can work and earn with dignity, then yes, let them take all the oil they want. Wow, this is somebody from Venezuela say, hey, listen, it's a trade-off. I can't just expect y'all to come over here and give us back our country and not pay anything. Some people aren't going to like this because at least something gets built instead of destroyed. This is something to celebrate, not because it's perfect, but because for the first time in a long time, there is hope. Wow. Hope that families can eat. Hope that people do not flee their country. Hope that Venezuela can function again. If you've ever lived through a country collapsing, if you ever watched socialism destroy everything around you, if you've ever had to leave your home because staying meant starvation, then again, shut the F up. This isn't theory. This isn't politics. This is lived experience by Steven Subero. Wow. Shout out to Steven. Well said. Well spoken. It's not that complicated, like you said. So now, of course, you've got, oh man, we've got to hear from the VP on what she feels about what went down in Venezuela. Check this out.
This morning, a Venezuelan court has now directed Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodriguez to assume the powers and duties of acting president. This comes after longtime leader Nicolas Maduro and his wife were captured by U.S. military forces after early Saturday morning strikes in Caracas. They are now in the United States to face criminal charges.
We have local 10's Trent Kelly in the newsroom with the details on what could happen next.
Well, Alexis, Rodriguez called Maduro's detention a, quote, kidnapping and demanded his release, adding that Maduro is, quote, the sole president of Venezuela. And that appears to contradict a statement made by President Donald Trump, who said Rodriguez was willing to work with the U.S.
New images showing Nicolas Maduro blindfolded and handcuffed moments after he and his wife were captured by the U.S. government. The photos shared on social media by President Donald Trump on Saturday, just hours after Maduro's capture. Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodriguez struck a defiant tone. While surrounded by regime loyalists, she called the U.S. operation barbaric, declaring Nicolas Maduro is the only president of Venezuela.
No, he ain't.
Known to many in the country simply as Delcy, Rodriguez has been an influential and reliable regime enforcer for nearly 2 decades. She began in the government of Hugo Chavez, faithfully implementing the tenets of Chavismo, the nationalist populist movement that brought the Venezuelan economy to its knees. Uncompromising in her rhetoric, she vilified the Venezuelan opposition and frequently warned the country about the threat of foreign intervention. Crucially, as energy minister, she has also been a steady hand in funneling Venezuela's dwindling energy revenues to the regime. Seen here last.
How can you say that when your country is basically backed by China and Russia? It's crazy.
Month with state workers, she says, we have something to tell Mr. Trump. Venezuela doesn't owe the U.S. anything. And yet Rodriguez has for many years been sanctioned by Canada, the EU, and the United States.
Exactly.
CNN attempted to question her in 2016 after an investigation uncovered a scheme to illegally sell Venezuelan passports out of the country's embassy in Iraq. Rodriguez.
How can you be this tone deaf? Again, politicians politicking. But how can you say that about, oh, foreign countries, look out, the big bad foreign countries? And your country is essentially subsidized by a lot of these, Russia. And now the U.S. is involved, China. Come on, man. So in response to what our guy Steven Subero had to say, we're going to hear from a lot of people who do not agree with the sentiment that maybe this was the right thing for America to do.
In response to the strikes, protests are ringing out from coast to coast.
Now, look at where the protests are. Charlotte, Chicago, Boston, and L.A. Need I say more? Charlotte, I'm surprised about.
You're looking at video of just a handful of those demonstrations here in our state. People took to the streets of Charlotte to criticize the Trump administration's arrest of Maduro. There were similar scenes across some of America's biggest cities, including Chicago.
Look at Charlotte. There's like 10 people out there. Man, shut up.
Chicago, Boston, and Los Angeles. And in Greensboro, more protests are planned this afternoon. We're told demonstrators are gathering on West Wendover Avenue near the I-40 interchange around 2:30 p.m. Multiple local organizations are expected to be on the ground, but it's not exactly clear who is leading the effort.
Yeah, and it's no surprise about L.A. It's no surprise about Chicago. We know, was it Brandon Johnson over there? They're dealing with the whole mess in Chicago. But now that we're here, let's go back and we're going to do a little bit of a rewind and hear from a young President Joe Biden, a man who had his full mind and capacities about what he thinks about narco terrorists in Venezuela. Check this one out. I guess some people forgot about this. And I actually need to unmute this.
Soil. Let's go after the drug. For the first time, we are fighting and losing a war on our own soil. Let's go after the drug lords where they live.
Hold on. What now? We got to say it. We got to hear that one more time.
Own soil. Let's go after the drug lords where they live. With an international strike force. There must be no safe haven for these narco terrorists, and they must know it. For the first time, we are fighting and losing.
This y'all's guy saying we need to go up in their house and arrest them. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Well, there's more. We're going to talk about this situation. I'll just let the video play. Y'all let me know what you think.
Quickly turn to Venezuela, where Maduro once again demonstrated his complete disregard for democratic norms and proceeded with his illegitimate inauguration. As President Biden emphasized during his meeting with President-elect Edmundo Gonzalez Urrutia on Monday, January 6, we believe that it is essential that the will of the Venezuelan people is respected.
We believe it is essential that the will of the Venezuelan people is respected. This is the administration of Joe Biden, guys, by the way. Yes, exactly what President Trump is doing. This is what they were saying needed to be done.
Edmundo Gonzalez Urrutia on Monday, January 6, we believe that it is essential that the will of the Venezuelan people is respected. In coordination with our partners, we've given Maduro and his representatives every opportunity to restore democracy, but they haven't. So today we are building on all of our previous actions and taking further major actions. We announced new sanctions on key Maduro-aligned officials as a part of our efforts to hold them accountable, and we imposed more visa restrictions.
I thought, well, visa restrictions, what is happening? Did y'all forget this? Did people just have their earplugs in and weren't paying attention to what was going on during the Biden administration? Most likely. All they care is that, hey, it was a Democrat. He's in office. Yay, let's celebrate. The same as visa restrictions for Venezuelans. That doesn't... What? Y'all supported this? Where's the pushback coming from, guys? Are we going to be consistent or not? This was clearly a problem. Venezuela needed outside involvement, and now here we are. But they're still debating a Democrat versus Republican thing. Why? I have no idea. Mainly because people are uneducated, and we gonna educate you.
And his representatives every opportunity to restore democracy, but they haven't. So today we are building on all of our previous actions and taking further major actions. We announced new sanctions on key Maduro-aligned officials as a part of our efforts to hold them accountable, and we imposed more visa restrictions totaling nearly 2,000 individuals.
Wow.
We also increased the reward amount to $25 million for Nicolas Maduro and his so-called Minister of Interior as part of the Department of State's Narcotics Rewards program.
Okay, so wait. They set the reward for Nicolas Maduro at $25 million. I guess President Trump upped it to $50 million, said we need to get this guy. But he also, President Trump also said in the press conference, he said, hey, make sure we get that money because we had to spend the military's resources to get this guy. So let's make sure we don't pay anybody for that. And then last but not least, we are going to hear from the opposition party, some would say the rightful president of Venezuela, and hear what Maria Machado has to say, not only about this situation, but about her Nobel Peace Prize that she most recently won. Check this out.
You went to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. And I want you to tell us, you never went back at that point. Did you not go back because you feared for your life? And tell us, I mean, it's not very usual that people will dedicate the Nobel Peace Prize to the leader of a different country and say publicly, he deserves this more than I do. But you did that.
Let me be very clear. As soon as I learned that we had been awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, I dedicated to President Trump because I believed at that point that he deserved it. And a lot of people, most people said it was impossible to achieve what he has just done on Saturday, January 3rd.
Wow.
So if I believed he deserved it on October, imagine now. I think he has proven to the world what he means. I mean, January 3rd will go down in history as the day justice defeated a tyranny. It's a milestone, and it's not only huge for the Venezuelan people and our future, I think it's a huge step for humanity, for freedom and human dignity.
Have you spoken with President Trump since then?
I spoke with President Trump on October 10th, the same day the prize was announced. Not since then, but I do want to say today, on behalf of the Venezuelan people, how grateful we are for his courageous vision, the actions, historical actions he has taken against this narco-terrorist regime to start dismantling this structure and bringing Maduro to justice, which means that 30 million Venezuelans are now closer to freedom, but also that the United States of America is a safer country nowadays.
Right. Did you at any point offer to give him the Nobel Peace Prize? Did that actually happen? I had read that somewhere. I wasn't sure if it was true.
Well, it hasn't happened yet, but I certainly would love to be able to personally tell him that we believe the Venezuelan people, because this is a prize of the Venezuelan people, certainly want to give it to him and share it with him. What he has done.
Wow. Amazing, man. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments in the chat. The people of Venezuela have seemingly spoken. Are there just a few who are loud? We've seen evidence here that many of the people who not only are from this country, but are in this country support what's going on. Let me know what y'all think in the comments in the chat. We got 1,200 of y'all in the building. Dang, can y'all like the video real quick? It's free. I promise it won't hurt. It takes less than a second to do as well. If y'all could do that, I would greatly appreciate it. And thank you to everyone who's liked the video so far as well. I have one more thing I wanted to get to on this. I wanted to hear from the Secretary of State, but I think we might put that on hold for a minute because I want to get into this Candace Owens situation. Candace Owens is back in. I'm sure y'all knew as soon as you saw Candace was back going live that we were going to talk about it here on the show. So let me go ahead and pull this up from Candace Owens and let's see what's going on with this whole situation with Mitch Snow, Fort Huachuca, all that stuff, which thankfully I can actually pronounce it right now. We're probably about to not talk about it as much, but we'll go ahead and get into it.
Works out for young Maddie.
Here we go. I got it in there. So let's go ahead and get into it again. If y'all haven't yet, please make sure you like the video. I know Taco Tuesday. I'm sorry, man. He said no, not Candace again. I'm sorry, Taco Tuesday. But this one, it's going to be interesting because we're actually going to hear a follow-up about the entire Fort Huachuca situation. See if Candace has any more updates on what happened with this investigation. Because when it comes to Mitch Snow, Candace Owens, and just the public's view of this entire, let's say, recollection of the events that went down at the secret meeting, it's something doesn't seem right. There's differing stories. So I really want to get Candace's thoughts on this. It seems like she's done some more research and investigation on her own to try and find out what happened at Fort Huachuca, what happened at this quote unquote alleged secret meeting. And we're going to hear it from herself. Let me know what y'all think in the comments and in the chat.
Anyways, we now need to turn our attention back now that we've recapped how I'm feeling about the new year. We obviously have to discuss Fort Huachuca because it seems to have driven people insane. Okay, insane. People are losing their minds ever since we mentioned Fort Huachuca, which signals.
Well, that's not quite true. Again, Candace, I think that's a mischaracterization. We lost our minds because of Mitch Snow's story, how he stumbled upon this meeting. And then people were getting upset because they were being named and have said to have been at that meeting. Cabot Phillips. We're talking about the head of security and even Erica Kirk, who was alleged to be at the hotel the night before the secret meeting took place.
Signals to everybody that Mitch is telling the truth. Okay. Now, I should tell you that if Charlie were alive today, they'd be calling him demonic. They'd be calling him possessed. They'd be saying that he was crazy for not trusting the government because he was honest. He had an honest perspective about psychological operations. He noticed them. He knew the government was behind these psychological operations, just like the one they have put in place since Charlie was assassinated. Here's what Charlie had to say back in October of 2024 regarding the CIA and MK Ultra. He is speaking with Justice Smith. Take a listen.
Do you think the MK Ultra project ever actually ended?
or just went
no,
under
we have no evidence that it ended. And I mean, also we have Operation Mockingbird too, which was another CIA program, which was that they were going to take over all the news networks and have symmetry in their broadcast communications. No, the Central Intelligence Agency is actively involved in mind manipulation of people here domestically. And that is completely against the CIA charter. We must understand, we have Congress, and they're just kind of like a peanut gallery. And then we have a super government that exists above Congress of the Department of Defense, which is the Pentagon, the Central Intelligence Agency, which is its own thing out in Langley, the Federal Bureau of Investigation. They run the country. The intel agencies run the country.
I agree.
People don't run the country. The executive branch doesn't run the country. This is why they hate Trump. Because Trump was the first candidate since JFK to actually want to declare war on the intel agencies and bring the power back to the sovereign. And both him and Kennedy got shot.
Yes, well, I am just, in many ways, I think it would just pain Charlie to see everything that's happened since he passed. I think it would just pain him to see what Trump has become. He's become the deep state, obviously. And never have I ever seen a more aggressive psychological operation, or a more obvious operation, for that matter, than everything that the intel agencies have been trying to impart upon the public since Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Until, I should say, and relatedly, I saw what happened after we brought up Mitch Snow. Okay, so let's recap what happened in case you forgot. I mentioned Fort Huachuca on my show, and apparently the world exploded and imploded at the exact same time. The story was pretty simple. I was contacted by someone claiming that he was very certain that he saw two people at Fort Huachuca in the days leading up to Charlie Kirk's assassination. Okay, he contacted me specifically about Brian Harpole and Erica Kirk. Now, I wasn't sure if I was going to have him on the show because he saw, to be clear, Erica Kirk on the 8th leaving the Candlewood Inn Hotel on the base on Fort Huachuca. She was with somebody who looked similar to Cabot Phillips. We're going to discuss him tomorrow. And then they were just leaving the hotel. Then he says he sees that Cabot Phillips looking special force type person the next day with Brian Harpole. And he's basically 100% certain he saw Brian Harpole at this top brass meeting that took place on the morning of the 9th, a meeting which was concluding on the morning of the 9th around 7:30 a.m. He sent me all of the receipts to back this up, okay? Again, wasn't sure if I was going to have him on the show. Felt weird about asking him not to tell us the part about Erica Kirk because I was more interested, obviously, in the meeting because of the manner that he described it. Like, this is a final meeting before an operation. Well, what would Brian Harpole be doing there? What sort of an operation are we talking about? Now, we couldn't jump to conclusions at that point because maybe Brian Harpole was going to say, oh, yeah, I was there. I was there because I was picking up something from my brother. Maybe.
Again, it's obviously clear that whatever happened, whether it was a setup or whether it was just a lapse in security, Brian Harpole sucked at his job in this instance. Or maybe there was just powers that be that were against him that he couldn't have any control over. But yeah, Charlie's gone and it's your job to protect him. It is what it is.
Erica was going to come out and say, yeah, I was at Fort Huachuca base because my mother has DOD contracts and I'm very familiar with this base and I was going to see a friend. We didn't know what to make of anything other than he said that he saw these two people on different days. Again, to be super clear, he did not see Erica at the meeting on the morning of the 9th. He saw her the night before, allegedly, obviously. That was the allegation. What happened after we allowed Mitch onto the show to share his story was, it was just madness. It was kooky. What happens next is Alex Jones, of all people, the guy who brought us the gay frogs, and a couple of YouTubers that nobody had heard of began a very aggressive effort to go after Mitch, right?
Hey,
to say, nope, this guy
me.
is illegitimate. We shouldn't listen to a single word that he says. Quite literally, Alex Jones went onto his show and declared war on me. I've never said a bad word about Alex Jones ever. In fact, only good words. I've spoken about Alex Jones. I think he's always been good to me. I've played clips of him. I said he's very funny. And he's going to act like I've attacked him, never spoke to him about Mitch Snow, nothing. Listen to Alex Jones quite literally declare war on me. And this is over Mitch Snow. Take a listen.
I remember saying to them, I said, I got to investigate her now. I got a bad feeling. I didn't have a bad feeling. God gave me a good brain. I already knew. I dropped the ball. I apologize. She's a globalist agent. I dropped the ball and I failed you and I'm sorry. I got to follow my gut every time. It's never wrong. And I saw so much more she did. And I love her people threatening me and all their doxing of people and all that. You think that's going to make me go away? All you did was wake me up like a nuclear test site waking up Godzilla. So just get your asses ready. because you want a war. I want your war. I want it all. I want the doxing. I want the lies. I want the attacks. I'm going to take you on because you work for the deep state and the Democratic Party and the CIA and MI6, and I see your ass. So you just get ready.
Okay, points for entertaining. I have no idea what he's talking about. I don't know. Good luck. I hope you do it. I hope you go after whoever it is. If the attacks are in the room with you right now, Alex, let us know, okay? I literally have no idea what he's speaking about. I was off air, and Alex Jones was just burying himself, getting fact-checked. People are attacking him because he's lying about what I've said. He's pretending it's personal. Like he and I had a conversation, or like I went after him on the show. I don't know what that is, but then I would eventually find out exactly what it is. First, the efforts from Alex Jones and these YouTubers. Well, first, they played like they were friends with him. So you had this Paramount Tactical account and Valhalla who called up Mitch and pretended to be a brother, like a brother in arms. Yeah, brother, yeah, we're trying to help you. We think, kid could be potentially funded. This is, Paramount Tactical, potentially working with foreign agents, and like, you're one of us. At the exact same time, they had Ian Carroll calling me, and Ian Carroll was being a friend, and he's like, hey, you should get on the phone with them, and you should come out against Mitch, because Mitch is a fraud, and Mitch was never in the military, and it's going to be really bad for you. Like, you need to make a statement against Mitch. So just to make that clear, they're trying to pressure Mitch to say something against me and trying to pressure me to say something against Mitch to believe it.
And Evan is also allegedly trying to get an interview with Mitch, which I think would be highly interesting.
Mitch was a fraud, and to have Mitch believe that I was a fraud, that struck me as odd. I did not take the bait. Then after, through a third party, effectively threatening me and saying that lawsuits were going to be coming if I did not go back on my word of allowing, Mitch to be on my platform and share his story, that there were huge lawsuits coming. And I explained to Ian Carroll, I was like, Ian, this is not how lawsuits work. They didn't send me a cease and desist. What have I done wrong here? Then they said that he was never, that it was like stolen valor. He was never in the military. And then they had to admit that, no, actually, Mitch was in the military. But they were ashamed because he was a really bad dude who abused women in the past. And then they brought out the said women onto their platform. Like, suddenly we are being brought into Jerry Springer, and they had to absolve his past. Everyone's like, what does this have to do with Fort Huachuca? Can Suge Knight see Brian Harple at a military base? Like, do I care about Suge Knight's history? What does this have to do with anything? This is just illogical. So when the public didn't bite on that, they then said that it probably wasn't even true that he was at Fort Huachuca because he was a pathological liar, and they could prove if this was a bad dude and a pathological liar. So I then dropped the military police reports, the actual incident report from what happened on the base on that day, which proves that Mitch told the truth. So then they pivoted, and they said the police report was fake. There were some points of it looked fake because it had typos. And this didn't look like a real driver's license number for driver's license for Washington State. And apparently police officers never make typos, right? Everyone knows these are like English students. These are authors. How could a police officer typo in a police report? Goalpost was moved again and again. And finally, they decided I'm not kidding here. They decided that as proof of how terrible of a human being that Mitch was, which again, I still can't compute what this has to do.
Again, I don't, Candace, come on, don't be disingenuous. What it has to do with Fort Huachuca is we're relying 100,000% solely on this man's testimony. So yes, look into his background, see who he is, make sure he's not mentally unstable. And then we just like you look for information to back up his story, you also look for information that discredits it. Isn't that a part of an investigation? You don't just find everything that proves your point. If people want to say, man, there's something weird about this guy, I'm not sure about his story, it makes sense to me. It's a part of a thorough investigation, in my opinion. Not because people just hate Mitch, it's because even Evan Kilgore, one of Candace's biggest supporters on X, formerly, was like, something doesn't feel right about this story. Let me look into this. That's why we're here in the first place. I don't get
whether or not he was at Fort Huachuca, but as proof. They were teasing this, and Alex Jones was teasing this. They were going to bring his son on. His son, who he has not spoken to since his son was 2 years old and who is now an adult man. They were going to bring his son onto the show to speak about Mitch. And accidentally, and quite hilariously, the son confirms that the incident at Fort Huachuca actually happened. Okay, take a listen to that moment because it's perfection. It's hilarious.
you're a veteran, and I don't know. Have you watched his claims on Candace Owens? Do you know what he's talking about?
I watched some of them very briefly. I can only stomach so much of that bullshit. They're not going to let him go into anywhere, ops center or anything like that, on any post. Not Huachuca, not Carson, not nowhere. Not in the States, not abroad. They're going to make him go through the same center that everybody goes through to get his ID, get it renewed if he doesn't have it to that point. They're going to let him go to the commissary.
Wait for it.
They're going to let him go to the PX, maybe some of the other amenities on the post, but he doesn't have a secret security clearance.
Or if he does walk into the Joint Task Force staff duty, he might end up detained and outside getting the canines called on him, as per this report, which, again, I don't even know if this report is real or not. There's so much craziness going on with this report.
I mean,
plate number.
They called me on September 9th, asking me if I knew anything about a Mitch Snow, and telling me that I was listed as his number one emergency contact. And I just remember sitting there for like a minute, like, I don't know Mitch Snow. I don't know why I'd be on somebody's emergency contact list.
Oops. Not what they had planned. So yeah, Fort Huachuca, everything he told us happened that morning on the 9th happened. And they also called his son because they probably looked up at his son, was his son. And
not necessarily. Again, that doesn't, to me, his son saying that, who's they? Who is the they they're talking about? Who called him? Who at was it Fort Huachuca that called him? They could have been anyone. So again, I still don't think this all the way proves that Mitch was there.
Yeah, oopsies. So then they pivoted again to hosting a stream to rather gloriously and definitively declare that Erica had an airtight alibi on the 8th, or at least they were confused about dates and didn't realize that we were speaking about the 8th. And this is when things went very sideways and revealed that Andrew Colvett was actually the hand behind the scenes communicating with these people, these obscure people who were obsessed with Mitch's past. Paramount Tactical is live, and he accidentally reads his instructions from Andrew Colvett, but couldn't read fast enough to the part where Andrew Colvett says, please don't show this. Take a listen.
Yeah, that was
I asked him, hey, do you have proof of this? He says, but it's worth saying Erica wasn't in some fort in Tucson. The internet's gone insane. She woke up next to Charlie on the 9th. Went to the office with Charlie all day, woke him up from a nap before a fox hit, went to dinner with Charlie. Literally, people are lunatics. And then the next one, proof, she was with her kids at 8:33 a.m. Pacific time, which again, in September, Arizona's on Pacific time. Taking them for a walk. Apparently, I wasn't supposed to share that. But anyways, point being.
Dang. Yo, listen, I'm never texting anybody after this. I'm just texting my family, telling them they love them, asking how's your day going, how you feeling, everything okay? Anything other than that, no. I mean, Candace, someone's leaking text messages. This dude, I don't even know who this is. This Dangerous Liberty guy leaking text messages. Like, I'm never texting anyone, man. Leave me alone. This is crazy.
That's 8:33 a.m. It shows date on that. Sorry, Andrew. I screwed that up, man. I was trying to run a podcast and do everything else.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You should be sorry. I'm sorry for Andrew, too, because that's what pissed me off. Honestly, I'm going to be honest with you guys. That was upsetting to me because we had all suspected that Turning Point was behind this. We had suspected that they were the ones, and I can confirm to you because also Alex said that he was in communication with Turning Point USA. The spokesperson is Andrew, obviously, and I confirmed that Andrew had been communicating with Alex Jones directly. But why that upset me was because they were willing to drag me through the mud to try to have me, I would say, threatened by these YouTubers, this very guy that then goes, oh, Andrew Colvett. And yet they wouldn't just communicate that directly to me. Like we were very open to him just having the wrong memory, being where he was, but maybe having the wrong memory and not having seen Erica or seeing Brian Harple. So what is this actually about, right? What is this actually about? And what was upsetting to me, especially first and foremost, because this makes no sense, nobody accused Erica of being anywhere on the 9th, but yet we see her finger in there. We see that she is showing that she's with her kids on the morning of the 9th. And that, to me, ran counter to my meeting with Erica. I was left under the impression after my meeting with Erica that Andrew Colvett had gone rogue, right? A lot of the things that I was saying, and Turning Point was saying the opposite thing, and I felt like they were trying to make me look like a liar, right? The Charlie Kirk Catholic thing, me speaking about the threats that Charlie received the day before he died, and then Turning Point would come out and issue a statement. Their excuse was like, okay, no, you were telling the truth, but Andrew Colvett went rogue. And to be honest, I wasn't exactly sure what to believe when I left the meeting. Obviously, I wanted to take time to digest those things, but I'm very clear that that's what I was told, right? They copped to the fact that, yeah, Andrew Colvett did receive that text from Charlie the night before, and Charlie was worried that he was going to be killed. But, Erica didn't know this information, and she was looking in his iMessages. Okay, so Andrew went so rogue that he didn't even communicate after Charlie was assassinated to the team that Charlie was afraid he was going to die. Also, he was rogue, apparently, on the Superman text as well. Like, he was the one who issued that tweet and quoted the surgeon. I then told you that the surgeon never said that. That was not a quote from the surgeon. What I didn't tell you was that according to my source, which I trust very much,
here we go.
The person that was on that phone that said that quote was actually Erica.
Oh, man.
It was a three-way phone call after my episode. Okay. I am told, again, these are two disputed narratives. Erica claims Andrew went rogue and also the surgeon went rogue and violated HIPAA. My source says that no, the surgeon did not violate HIPAA and he never said that, but he answered Andrew Colvett's questions because Erica was on the phone, and that the Superman quotation came from her, and they thought it was sweet because she was trying to grapple with things. And that's why I just abstained from telling the public that, because I thought maybe she needed to believe that because he died. And I was trying to be gracious. I don't know what to believe. What I see now is that I'm getting played because now I see that she's giving an alibi to Andrew. And Andrew's not going rogue, okay? Andrew is being told to do these things. Andrew is being told to attack me and to attack my narrative. Andrew is being told to lie on my name. Andrew is allowing these attacks to happen, sitting there across from Alex Clark, like, Catholic, no, he just liked the architecture. And I no longer accept that he is just going rogue.
Well, and I mean, they were on the live stream talking about having this meeting with Candace Owens on December 15th. And Erica said she was the one behind it. So again, I don't see that either. I'm with Candace on this one.
That to me shows coordination. There's no other way to read it. So we have to sentence Andrew Colvett to more truth. That's going to be the new vibe. You lie, I tell the truth. So let's revisit the Hamptons, okay? Remember that whole debacle?
We're not going to get into that. Let me know what y'all think about this so far. It seems like a wild situation. I was hoping that we would get more information about what went on with the Mitch situation. It still seems like we're like, hey, just believe Mitch, he was there. And everything else you're hearing is just hate against my source. I'm ready for the facts to come out. We're going to try and keep following this. But at the end of the day, we might just have to wait until Tyler Robinson's court hearing before we figure out this situation. Let me know what y'all think in the comments in the chat. Thank y'all for the love, man. Still 6,000 plus of y'all in the building, and most of you liked the video. Thank you for the support. Shout out to everyone who was in here as well. Thank you to Bombay for being a member for 5 months. Says woo woo. Mr. Brown for dropping the 50 bomb. Oh my goodness. Thank you for the love, Mr. Brown. And then, of course, shout out to my awesome, amazing Amy E. We are going to be back tomorrow, so y'all do not want to miss out on tomorrow's show. We still got a lot of news to get to, some things we didn't cover today, and I'm sure we'll have some more information coming out as we go throughout the afternoon. If you haven't yet, make sure you please subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any time that we go live or drop a new video. We'll be dropping some clips throughout the afternoon and into tomorrow morning as well. So make sure y'all stay tuned for that. I appreciate every single one of y'all for the love. And as always, you know what to do. Keep growing, keep pushing, keep it classy. We go. Peace. Appreciate y'all.